Boxing fans here with none other than Johnny Nelson. Johnny, we've just witnessed a bit of a fiery press conference there between Liam Smith, Chris Eubank Jr. Things were said on a personal level and also on a boxing level. What did you make of all of that?
Hey, I saw that both fighters, regardless of how much they say he's not got under my skin, clearly have. I've never seen that version of Liam Smith with a microphone or camera in front of him. Chris he bit. So maybe the antagonist in was Liam, and rather than Chris, and they bit. I think on the subject matter, and these guys getting on a personal level, I think maturity probably gives you the opportunity to think in hindsight. If I was Chris, I'd said, "Well, and what if I was gay? And what? You know, you're not denying or confirming, but why are you trying to weaponise it?" Say, what if it was gay? Kills the conversation, you know, because then it makes one look silly. Chris wasn't mature enough to probably hold that kind of conversation, and then came back with other personal accusations about being a married man and so forth. These things it just got down to a point where you think, come on, you know. But you've got two fighters that have been obsessed about each other for the last 12 weeks or whatever. They're getting down to weight, they're emotional. You cannot tell me, anybody watching that, and anybody wants to be all PC trigger happy, you cannot tell me when you get angry, when you're pissed off, when you're going to say and do things that you're going to regret, and when you calm down later on. That's what we saw there. We saw two guys say and do things that they will regret and apologise for afterwards. It's not acceptable, but it's human behaviour. It's not, and it could have been dealt with differently if both guys were mature enough or had the experience in life enough to just sit back and say, "I'm what?" But listen, I'm quite sure anybody, when you've had an argument, you can't even speak straight, and after you think, "Shit, I should have said that." So that aside. All it showed, apart from that, it showed us two young men that have got under each other's skin. It showed us that the fight Saturday night, there's no faking this fight. I knew that when we did the gloves are off. It showed us that Saturday night you're going to have two fights that go in the ring that want it, that need the win. Not want it, need the win. They need the win for all the bragging rights in the world. And they've given each other enough ammunition to fire each other up Saturday night. So even though it may have been distasteful and regrettable, let's just put things into context and be smart about how we're thinking and how we're reacting to this. But again, I think it's going to be a good fight. I think the timing's perfect for both fighters. I think these two guys would never be friends on a personal level. Chris is not Liam's kind of guy, and vice versa. But I think it makes for a good fight Saturday night.
Let's talk about it from a boxing point of view. In the ring, we know what Liam brings. You know, he's a tough fighter. He can adapt if he needs to adapt. Chris is that fighter that we know come forward, loads of energy, pressure fighter. But now he's starting to implement a little bit more from what Roy's teaching him. A little bit more jabs, a little bit fighting on the back foot if needs be. Can you teach Chris these sort of things? We know what sort of fighter he is.
So Roy said he's made Chris as an all-round fighter. He can box on the offensive and defensive. He can fight, he can bash, he can box. Chris has never been in a position where he's had to do that. Saturday night might be a time when he shows this is what he has to do, what he can do. Liam has been a former world champion. He's boxed the best. He's not the fighter he was, but the fighter he is today beats most fighters out there. So therefore, his timing right. His timing right for Chris being the naturally bigger guy. I think he's far more athletic and fitter. I think Liam is technically more supreme of the two as a boxer. So the timing's right. Which one will come? Which one will come out on top? Up until Wednesday, I actually thought. I was saying Liam's just going to be too cute for him, too smart for him. Then Wednesday I was looking at videos, I was looking at Liam, I was looking at Chris and looking at the fights I had and the people he won. And it's been about timing for Chris, pitting guys that have been there at the top. but they weren't there by the time he fought them. And I think this will be one of those the tightest gamble for Chris to pull off that gamble. But I think he can. I think from Wednesday onwards, I think Chris gets this. Tight, distance fight. I'd be very, very, very surprised if it went inside the distance, but both guys will leave it all in the ring.
I want to talk about one of the undercard fights in Richard Riakporhe fighting Krzysztof Glowacki. Big fight for Richard, a good step up, and then we know from here Lawrence Okoli is going to join the stable, and then we've got Chris Smith. We've got world title opportunity with him at Jay Opasai. If you need to call him over to the UK, good position he's in right now.
What a wicked card! What a wicked card in all. I think for Richard, my worry has always been Richard's confidence to match his ability. I know this guy's got ability. I know this guy can do so much more than what we've seen. But the mind has got to match the body, match the ability. And so I think Saturday night has to be one of those nights where he gets his shit together. Because if he gives Glowacki space, he doesn't sting this guy, make this guy go inside his shell. He grows through the rounds and he'll come on and keep the pressure on. Richard has got to bully this man. He's got to be mean. He's got, and I don't mean be reckless. I mean he's got to bully him, manhandle him. So this man wants out. I know Glowacki's got quit in him, and I know it's not a nice thing to say about a fight. This guy's got quit in him. I know that. I can say that because I'm an ex-fighter. You can't say it, but he's got quit in him, and Richard needs to expose that quit in him and give him an excuse to use that quit. If he doesn't give me an excuse for the distance, for the duration of the fight, Glowacki can win the fight. So Richard needs to get his shit in order Saturday night.
Okay. Do you want to quickly move away? We know that Anthony Joshua's next fight is going to get announced very soon. Yep. Either Jermaine Franklin or Dempsey McKean. Looks like he's picked his trainer in Derek James as well. Just a simple question to yourself: do you feel like Anthony Joshua can become world champion again?
Depends on how much he wants it. That's all. It depends on how much he wants it. I think now he knows that there's somebody out there that can beat him. It will change one's desire, and one's appetite, and one's mindset. So let's see in his next fight, and that will tell you what's there, what desire's there, what isn't there. Anthony Joshua's always wanted to be a world champion, always wanted to be the best. Does Anthony Joshua believe he can be the best again? I can't answer that.
You know what? If he loses against a Franklin or McKean, is that it over?
That's his choice. That's his call. But that's his call. But what I'm saying to you is, again, it's the desire. It's the desire and the want, and what effect that's had on his mindset, losing to Usyk twice, knowing he's not the best fighter in the world. I keep saying this over and over again, and people are trying to say should Jack in. And what I'm saying is, this man has achieved and been up there. And you understand, once you've been a champion and you really believe you're the best fighter in the world, and all of a sudden it's taken away, your motivation, your drive, your ambition changes. And I think Anthony Joshua needs to find a new motivation, new drive, new ambition. Because if he doesn't, and he's just going through the motions, then he's just making dollars, making dough.
But by him going to America, testing out different trainers, it shows that the hunger's still there. Otherwise,
it shows the commitment's there, not the hunger. Okay. The hunger is when we're training. I'm saying, "Yo, I see you 4:30 in the morning. Come, I don't want to get out of here. Yo, we're training 7 o'clock in the morning after the run. Yo, we're back in the gym again 4 o'clock. That's the desire. The commitment is him saying, "Child, let me just go and try this check out here." He needs to be in a situation where he doesn't call the shots. He needs to be with a coach that tells him what to do and tells him to get his ass out of bed. Come, we're doing this. And he listens. He doesn't question and tell him, say, "I ain't doing that." That's the difference. So we've just got to see if that's there. And it's very hard to do when you've got no reason to do it because you've got all the money in the world. When your reasons change, it's very hard to do. When you've, it's like being a champion and challenger. When you've got a hunter's mentality, your mentality changes when you become a world champion. It's only a few world champions can keep that hunter's mentality once they become world champion. and it just looks like Anthony Joshua's hunter's mentality has been softened a little. So he needs to find that hunter mentality back.
I spoke to Andy Lee just now. I said to him, Tyson Fury, what's the latest with him? And talked about his retirement. He said, listen, he genuinely retired, but there was a hunger in his belly that wanted him to come back.
Nobody believes that. You wasted your time with that conversation. Nobody believes that.
Let me ask you, obviously he's going to be in a mega fight now. Oleksandr Usyk looks like the fight is going to happen. How does that fight play out in your eyes?
I think Tyson Fury beats Oleksandr Usyk. Oleksandr Usyk's a good fighter. Oleksandr Usyk is an established fighter, an unorthodox fighter, but so is Tyson Fury. Usyk may be smoother and cuter than Fury, but Fury has the size, has the unorthodox style, the self-belief and the confidence and the pedigree to do it. It's a tough fight, but I do believe Tyson Fury wins that fight.
Just to pick on before I do let you go, Jake Paul, Tommy Fury, looks like the Saudis are taking that.
Really?
It shows that there seems to be a lot of interest in this whole misfits, influencer type boxing, and the numbers are massive. We see it on our YouTube channels and so do everyone else. Did you believe that it'd get this big as it is?
So the positives about this misfit and YouTube situation is it's getting more people interested in boxing. You'll go to a show and the place is packed out from 7 o'clock. So boxers, professional established boxers, can learn from this by making understanding that just being a good fighter is not enough. You've got to sell yourself. You are your business. And these misfits, they've sold themselves, but they can't fight. Or they can't fight as good as guys that have established fights. So the depth of talent, is now diminishing because this misfit situation is getting the eyes on the prize, but the depth of talent is there. So boxers, Ryan Garcia is probably the only fighter I think that has the ability to say, he has that crossover appeal. He gets the whole package thing. He can fight as well as he can sell himself. You look at his following, you look at how he's rolling. So fighters, established fighters, need to pick that up. Move along with the times. You are your own business. I'm quite sure I could go to Guatemala and find an amazing middleweight that could beat everybody. But nobody's interested because they can't speak a word of English, don't put bums on seats. So these guys have got to sell themselves. So with the rise and the popularity of the misfits and the YouTubers, good on them. But you've got one or two fighters that actually can fight, but as in our world, they're novices. KSI, Logan Paul, Jake Paul, these guys can fight, but they're novices. The rest of the YouTube and the misfit situation, as long as they stay in the lane and it's entertaining, then good. Parents can be happy. Parents be thinking, what? I've got my kid away from the computer and going to a boxing club because they want to be like Jake Paul and they want to be like KSI. That's a good thing. So all I'm saying is the boxing world can learn how to learn from the misfits, no matter how much respect or disrespect they have for this new wave of popularity. I
think that's what we're going to see. I speak to Adi Oladipo, works on the zone, works for Misfit on the whole Misfit squad. And we were discussing how it's possibly going to happen, but you're going to see younger fighters now come in, have their own YouTube channel, have a videographer wherever they go, just to promote themselves. Like you said, they're their own business.
Yeah.
But just moving away, last one I want to talk to you about. Conor Benn looks like there's going to be something coming out very soon in regards to Conor. Looks like he's going to get cleared. Looks like he's going to fight. Eddie's talking about Gervonta Tank Davis at some point. Just a question I'm asking, with everything that's gone on, once this statement comes out, is that a fresh, clean slate for Conor Benn, or has his credibility been lost?
Depends on the statement. Depends on the justification for substance being found in his system. That's what it is. So no matter how much we shout and scream from the rooftops, we've got something, get it out there. What are you waiting for? So you can't really comment on can we move on, because I don't know anybody. Everybody's baffled to think, well, what can you actually say why that's in your system and I'm going to believe it? And this is going to be his problem. So let's just wait to hear what he said, and let's just deal with what he said. Let's not speculate. Have the gossip and the speculation after the reasonings have come out.
Cool. Johnny Nelson, always a pleasure talking to yourself, man. That jacket looks huge, by the way.
Christmas present. I'm warm, man. I was stood in the streets of Manchester just sleeping like that. I was gone.
Always a pleasure talking to you, man. Thank you very much for talking to Pro Boxing fans. Top man.